Visual Studio Code is a configurable text editor that allows programmers to edit text and interact with their code in any way that suits their needs. In this video, I will be showing you how to install Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code requires you to have at least 1.6 GHz or faster processor and at least 1 GB of RAM. Visual Studio Code will run on Windows 7 with .NET Framework version 4.5.2 or in Windows 8, 8.1, and 10 in both 32 and 64-bit versions. It will also run on Mac OS X version Yosemite or later and has versions for both Debian and Red Hat distributions of Linux. First, we will begin by navigating to https://code.visualstudio.com. Once there, we will look for a green drop-down arrow that will reveal all of the different versions of Visual Studio Code available, and click on the version that is compatible with your operating system. The stable version will ensure that you're using the most recent bug-free version of Visual Studio Code, while the Insiders Edition will give you the latest features, but at the cost of using software that has not been tested extensively enough for your stable release. For this reason, we'll be going with the stable version. Once the download is complete, run the installer from your Downloads folder. An installation wizard will be open with prompts to assist you in your installation of Visual Studio Code. Upon the beginning frame, click Next to begin the installation process. Make sure to read the license agreement that goes along with your installation of Visual Studio Code. Once completed, make sure to accept the agreement and click the Next button to go to the next panel of the installation. Upon being here, you will then need to choose your installation directory. For now, I'm going to go with the original directory that has been selected. The next step prompts you to select a Start Menu folder for Visual Studio Code. You can choose the default name, Visual Studio Code, for this, and then click Next. You will then be prompted with another panel that gives you additional options to configure your installation of Visual Studio Code, like creating a desktop icon, add Open with Code actions to Windows Explorer file context menu, add Open with Code action to the Windows Explorer directory context menu, registering code as an editor for supported file types, and adding Visual Studio Code to your path. For my purposes, I will be adding Open with Code to the Windows Explorer file context menu and adding Open with Code to the Windows Explorer directory context menu. I will also be registering code as an editor for supported file types and creating a desktop icon, as well as adding it to my path. The final panel for the Visual Studio Code installation wizard will give you a look at the options you selected for panels 3, 4, and 5 of the installation wizard. If you are satisfied with what you've chosen, click the Install button. You may also go back to reconfigure these settings before you click Install. Once the installation wizard is complete, it will prompt you as to whether or not you would like to launch Visual Studio Code. I'm going to deselect this option and click Finish. For Mac OS, click on the green drop-down arrow and select the stable version of Visual Studio Code for Mac OS. When the download is finished, open your Downloads folder and double-click the Visual Studio Code application that has just been downloaded. You will then be given a safety check prompt to ensure that you want to open an application downloaded from the internet. Select Open. No further action is required to begin using Visual Studio Code. For the Red Hat version of Linux, click on the pull-down menu indicated by the green arrow and click on the version of stable Visual Studio Code that corresponds with a Red Hat distribution marked by a .rpm. Once the RPM file is done downloading, open up the terminal and use the command sudo yum install followed by the file path to the RPM file that you just downloaded with the name of the file at the end of it. You'll be prompted for a yes or no as to if it's okay to install the package. Type Y and hit enter. Then it's complete. Visual Studio Code is now ready to be used in a Red Hat environment.